Hi everyone! Today we're going to talk about how to do your work in Excel using cell references and formulas. Okay, so here I have an example. So what we're doing here is finding the loan amount that you would owe after 1 month. So you borrow $1,000 and the interest here is 14%. It's annual percentage rate, which I got from an internet source. So this is the first important thing about working in Excel. When you get information from a different source other than those provided in your classroom, make sure you provide the link or the references for the site. And we have type of period is monthly, so you're doing monthly computations or compounding monthly, and the number of periods is 12. So number of periods is number of months in a year, in this case, which is 12. And we'll be finding the periodic rate and use that to find how much amount do you owe in 1 month. Alright, let's get started. So here are some tips. So first thing you need to remember is you should look if your numbers are in the right format. So for example, this one, I can just type in 14, but that doesn't really make sense because you need to make sure your annual percentage rate is in percentage. So for that, what you need to do is, so you see here there's a little number bar where you have general, and when you click on the drop down it shows various formats. So what you need to choose is the percentage. So once you choose that percentage, you can enter 14 and it's going to take it as 14 percentage, which is perfect. Now if you see here, you have 14.00, so that's set by default, so you can always change this or approximate it to a whole number, round it off to a whole number. So for that, you'll be using this or the other one. So you can click on the left arrow or the right arrow depending on if you want more zeros, more places after decimal, or if you want to approximate it to a whole number. So let's see. So we're using this one to make it a whole number. Okay, there we go. Now for the periodic rate is the rate for every period. Since the period here is month, you're computing the period for every month. APR is rate for the entire year, so we're going to compute what would be the rate for one single month. So for that, you need to divide 14% with the 12 because there are 12 months in a year, so you need to find how much percentage there is for every month. So for that, what you're going to do is you're going to divide 14 and 12. So let's do that in a calculator and see how it works. So 14 divided by 12. So that's 1 point, let's say I'm approximating it to 2 decimal places, so it's 1.17. So I'm going to type that in here. 1.17. Now remember, this also should be in percentage. So I'm first going to format this into percentage. That doesn't look right, so I'm going to delete it and make sure it's in percentage. And now I will enter my answer, 1.17. Perfect. Okay, now this is what you should not be doing in Excel. This is a common way to solve this problem, any math problem that you might have done before, but using Excel is a little bit different than that. Let's see how that works. Okay, so when I click on this particular cell, you see a function box here, so it's going to show me that 1.17 percentage as an answer. But that is not what I'll be looking at. So you need to use your formulas and the cell references, which is the entire idea of using Excel. So let's see. So you're first going to click on the cell and type equal to, and then you're going to do 14% divided by 12. Okay, there we have. So you didn't even have to use a calculator. So all you have to do is put your formulas in Excel and it computes the answer for you. And the only extra thing you'll be doing here is approximating as per your needs and formatting it in a right way. So I'm going to format this. I have to decrease the decimal, so I'm going to do the other one. So it's going to decrease the decimal. And let me format this in percentage. There you go. Now, what is the difference between this part and that part? Let's see. So when I click on the cell, it just shows me 1.17%. That's it. But when I click on this one, it shows me the formula. So you don't have to show your calculation, because when I click on the cell, it's going to tell me what you did to get that answer. So, and this is very important in Excel. Now, there is another way to do it, because this is still not what you should be doing in Excel. Let's see. You have to use cell references to compute your answers and use your formula. What do I mean by cell references? So, same thing, click on the cell, type in equal to, and then instead of typing in the whole 14% divided by 12, I'm going to click on the respective cell. So 14% is in cell B4. So this is your B and this is your fourth row, and B4 is the value 14%. So when I click on this, now it's going to highlight that 14%, and this cell B4 is going to take that value 14% from there, and then you're gonna do divided by, same thing, instead of typing in 12, I'm gonna click on this cell, which is B6. So this is B, oops, my bad, equal to, highlighted, divided by, okay, B, it's B6, okay, so B6. So you can also type it by yourself, so you can just say equal to B4 over B6. So either way works. But I find this more useful, so I'm gonna do equal to and highlight it, divided by 12, highlight it, and enter. So again, make sure you format this into percentage and approximate. Oh, perfect. It's already rounded off to the right place. Okay, now see the difference. So difference between these two is when I click on this, it shows me the formula, but only with numbers. But here, it shows me which cells it chose to compute that particular formula. So when I double click on it, it's going to highlight those B4 and B6 cells. So when you upload your Excel worksheet, this is what I'm going to look at. And if there are any corrections, I can definitely point out here. But in this case, if your answer is wrong, I don't know what you have done to get that answer, so it would be hard for me to point out the mistake. So that's the one of the useful things in Excel, is you can go back and check your work for any mistakes easily and refer to the respective cells to make any changes. Now, there is another important thing in using Excel is, let's say you have entered an incorrect number. Let's say you did 10. Instead of 12, let's say you have 10. Now that is definitely not a right answer, so your answers would become incorrect, right? So if I type in 10, you get 1.4%, where your answer is supposed to be different. So what happens is, in your Excel, you can always go back and change your cell references, and Excel is going to compute the answer, right answer, even without having to type the entire formula again. So that's the whole idea of using cell references in Excel. So make sure you use the cell references and not these two. Alright, so going back, so I'm going to highlight these two, because you will not be doing these two. You should only prefer to do this way in your Excel, and it's going to give you full score for that. Okay, so this is what using cell references means. So I hope everyone had an idea of what exactly it means to work in Excel with your cell references and formulas. Now, computing amount you owe in 1 month. So let's first find out the interest. So to find the interest amount, so you need to find 1.17% times $1,000. Perfect. So it's 11.67. So $11.67 is how much interest you will owe in 1 month. Now to compute the entire amount, you're going to type equal to 1,000 plus that. Perfect. Now you can also format this into currency by doing that. Okay. So $1,011.67 is the amount that you owe in 1 month if you borrow a loan of $1,000 with 14% APR. Now, I'm gonna delete this since we don't need these two. Okay, now look how changing numbers would affect your formulas. So I'm gonna do a quarterly period, meaning your number of periods would be 4 in 1 year. So this is gonna change your entire answers. So your periodic rate now would be 3.5%, and your amount that you owe in 1 month would be 1,035, a little higher than previous amount, of course. Sorry, this is 3 months in 1 period. Oops, bad. Okay, so it's 1 period. And this is the interest that you'll owe. So you have seen how we should be using cell references and how changing numbers would affect your answers. Perfect. Now here are certain few things that I need to show you. Okay. So sometimes you might encounter with situations like this where you have to type in numbers, series of numbers. Now here is the easy part. So you don't have to literally type in this. What you can do is you can do 1 and you can just drag it and you can click on the drop down and say fill series. There you go. So you don't even have to take the effort of typing in it in every single cell. So you can just use the drag button so the Excel would enter the series for you. Okay, now same with entering the formulas. So let's see, you want to multiply equal to 1 times 1. So let's see what happens if you drag this. So you want to compute 2 times 2, 3 times 3, 4 times 4, but you don't have to type the formula in every single cell. So if you click on one cell and type in the formula and drag it, it's going to compute the answers for itself. So let's do that again. So I'm going to delete all of this. So equal to 1 times 1. Enter. And you click on the cell and drag it down below. There you go. So you don't have to literally keep typing in equal to and highlight it and then do times this, because you can just drag this formula down and fill the same formula in the entire rows. Alright, so if you have any further questions, please feel free to reach out to me and let me know, okay?